This conference will now be recorded.
And good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Hump Day Huddle. My name is Shania Chambliss, and I serve as the Regional Sales Director covering growth for Georgia. So I'm really excited to be here with you. We have spent the last couple of Hump Day Huddles very intentional. This is what we call pre AEP season. So even though Empower Brokerage is a full scope FMO covering anything under your life and health insurance license. We really the bread and butter to really who we are, and a lot of the agents really focus around Medicare, ACA, health insurance. And so, a lot of times when agents are coming to Empower, what they love is the diversity in their portfolio. They're not able to just have to focus on one product. They can utilize a vast amount of products to be able to offer several needs to their clients. And so, we've spent some time talking to carrier partners. Spent some time talking to provider opportunities. And so today we're going to talk about something that's very important and that we talk about every week on the call: cross selling. So even though your focus may be Medicare, your focus may be ACA, but also we have agents that are more so centered and more so trained on the life insurance side as well. So, as we are filling out our fact finders, one of the important reasons why we want to fill out that fact finder is because it's going to uncover certain needs that a client has that you may be able to offer them services for. So, of course, on both the Medicare and ACA fact finder, one of the questions um, ask about life insurance. And so we want to be able to have the right tools in our arsenal and in our belt to be able to help service those clients. So today I have a very special guest for you all. I actually have two of our superstars at Empower. We have Enrique Torres and we have Bertha Garcia. They are product specialists under our life and financials department. And they are just, I mean, a beacon of knowledge, so helpful. I'm sure many of you on this call have already gotten to know them. They are very responsive. And so they are truly a gem that you have in your back pocket to be able to assist you. So today we're going to start off with some key carriers. I know for a fact Foresters, we're going to do a deep dive into Foresters Life. I personally like Foresters because of the diversity of the products that they have, from the term insurance to IULs to even final expense and children's policies as well. So, Enrique, thank you so much for joining us today. I can't wait to see all the information that you have to share with us.
Thank you, Shania. So before I kick off, I just wanted to, I see that Bertha's joined us. You were, I think, having issues with the phone in. So there you go. If you want to just introduce yourself, Bertha, and then I'll kick off after that. Go right ahead.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, my name is Bertha Garcia. I am part of the Life and Financial team. Um, I work with several companies, several of the carriers, and if I don't know the carrier that you need help with, not a problem. I call Enrique and bring him into the meeting. But we're here to assist you. We don't want you to feel like you have to know every carrier and every product. That's what we are here for. We will assist you in any way that you need us. I work with agents as far as product knowledge, illustrations, or going back to basics of life insurance 101. Lately, I've been going on several client meetings with agents, most of them virtual, of course. I'm in South Texas. But just so you know that we're here to assist you in any way that we can. And call us if you need anything. I will hand it over to Enrique. Um, I it's okay. Hand it over to Enrique now. Thank you.
Thanks, Bertha. And also, Thanks, Shania, for that introduction. So I really like it. So we have a pretty good team here. So just to test the chat feature or the questions, just to confirm, I'm assuming everyone can hear me and hear us very well, and also, more importantly, see the presentation. So if I can just get a quick thumbs up or a hello from someone just to make sure, got it. So anyone in the audience, Shakia, thank you. And I really like some of the creativity on some of the names we have on attendees. I like that Queen of Cash Flow. I love it. I probably need to create something for myself like that. So here we go. So from the beginning that I started here with Empower, the team has grown. And so with Bertha being on board, so we're here, even though we're national, we have a national footprint. Once again, we're here to help you out. So let me get into the program. And by the way, Shania, let me know if I'm getting close to running over my time, but I can go on and on with with these topics here. So first of all, here you go, bird's eye view of life insurance. What I did, and I put this together for a live meeting we had here at our home office, and I got some good feedback, so I decided to start sharing it virtually. And by the way, towards the end here of this presentation, I'm going to have my QR code. So if you have your smart device, if you want to point your camera towards the QR code, I'm going to have towards the end of this section, you can get on my calendar, and we can do those one-on-ones. So just as Bertha mentioned as well, we can also help you because sometimes agents get a little bit intimidated if they're brand new to life insurance. So I want to make sure that first of all, we get you, familiar with the tools. And then also if it's an advanced case design or an advanced presentation, you need someone to just be on the call or on standby. I definitely can do that for you. And obviously it's going to be virtual. The other thing, just for a good best practices, make sure that your equipment is ready to go, all your mics and all of that, because once you're in front of that prospect, either virtually, in person, or in the phone call, I want to make sure we make the best impression, especially in those larger cases that you might come across. So for the most part, yeah, you're going to be able to do the final expense and the term insurance pretty quickly. But anything other than that, if you're needing help, whole life, IULs, long-term care, disability income insurance, and we even have a product specialist for annuities. Keep that in mind. So the bird's eye view, we're going to go over very quickly in a couple of slides. Types of life insurance, options based on that person's age, your prospect's age, some high level views of factors that may impact that premium. And then we're going to go through step by steps of life insurance and discovery meeting. Many times agents call me, they ask me, what are the steps to have that conversation? So I try to be pretty structured. And some of you that may know me already, I'm pretty like step one, step two, step three, but make it your own. I may be very structured in what I do, but at the same time, it's creating that relationship when you're with someone and trying to create that sense of urgency and bring value in what you do. So don't hesitate in making it your own. And then on our website, if you have access to the Empower Brokerage website, then you're going to have be able to download two uh, PowerPoints that are already ready to use when you're making those presentations. One of those is the Financial Planning 101, and the other one's going to be the Final Expense. So I'll show you where to find those on our website. And by the way, Shania, make sure you remind me if I forget to show you some things that the agents are asking for. So make sure you type in those requests because that way she can get back to me and I can go back and maybe cover the things I overlooked. Okay, so types of life insurance. Most of you on this call know this already, but some of you may just got your license and try to still figure out, what's the difference between term and permanent. I like just using the overview of like what is term? It's temporary, like paying your rent, and permanent, like paying your mortgage. For the purposes of this training, I'm not going to go into the detail, but just sort of keep that in the back of your mind. Temporary insurance, term insurance, permanent insurance could be any one of these. The only thing we do not offer here at Empower is going to be the variable products because you got to be securities licensed, and we don't have or we don't offer variable products. But the others we do. And so when we're going to switch over to Foresters here in a moment, you're definitely going to hear that they have the whole life. They're going to have their final expense whole life. They're going to have a universal life. That I recall, and we'll confirm in a moment, they do not have an index universal life. But if you have a need for that, we have other carriers that we can help you with that. But definitely, they do have term and then whole, final expense, and universal life. Now, this one looks pretty busy as far as the slide, but I put it together and I tried my best to make it simple. So if you have somebody that's a certain age, this top line, life insurance companies have an idea how long we're going to live actuarially from 0 to 121. So I'm going through this fairly quickly. If you want this slide deck, I'll send it to you. Just let Shania know. But you see here all of the products that are listed. And so the ages, babies, 0. And then insurance companies will stop issuing contracts at a certain age, generally around the age of 85. So just to point out, as an example, because I'm not going to cover this in detail right now, but as an example, I'll get a phone call and somebody will ask, I have a 67-year-old who wants a 30-year term insurance. Well, unfortunately, for that 67-year-old, as you can see, generally the companies will stop issuing that policy at age 55 for 30 or even a 20 for 65-year-old. So that 67-year-old option would be a 15, generally, again, a 15 or a 10-year term. Again, all I'm pointing out is that these bubbles here just simply indicate when they stop issuing those particular contracts. So keep that in mind when you're talking to people out there because they're expecting to get a 30-year term for a 67-year-old as an example. Unfortunately, it's not going to work. So be familiar with your carriers. Again, we can do one-on-ones as far as training if you'd like to go much more into detail. Here are factors that are going to affect someone's premium. So once again, these are not all inclusive and things are changing as far as the underwriting process. I put this together because I just want to give you a high level view, a bird's eye view of what impacts premium. Some of you know this already, but let me know. I appreciate the feedback. Let Shadia know we can cover that. Here we go. So low premium versus high premium. Of course, your age. So the younger you are, the lower the premium. The closer we are to the end, unfortunately, the higher the premium. And as you already saw, they'll stop even issuing products at a certain age. Underwriting. In today's world, think of AI. There's a lot of uh, simplified or immediate decision underwriting that's starting to come into play. Foresters has one on their whole life product, which you'll see, which is 100% digital. So even though there's no paramedical, there's no blood work, it's still underwriting. It's sort of like non-med, but even then, in today's world, I wouldn't call it a non-med. I call it, like AI underwriting. But that's just me saying that. My point is that if it's full underwriting for a healthy person, that's going to be a cheaper, more affordable premium for the same age versus the guaranteed issue. And by the way, my apologies to the audience. My neighbor, you can if you hear him, let me know. But I my neighbor sometimes comes over across on this sensitive mic that I have. Okay, next thing is the medical impairments. Someone is super healthy. That's going to be someone that's going to have a lower premium. Poor health, of course, higher premium. Body mass index, even though it's the last on the list, typically is the one that's going to impact the overall uh, underwriting. Someone who is overweight, obese, for example, may be disqualified just based on that. Okay, next thing here. I'm going to try to go through this quickly as I'm trying to for your time to keep me on time here. Life insurance. So approach meeting. So when you're meeting with somebody for the first time, to just sort of have an idea the way you should approach it, you set your meeting. Could be a phone call, could be in person, could be virtual, but you set that meeting and then you start asking questions. I'm really guilty of when I used to go meet somebody when I first started in the business. I'd spend 20, 30 minutes talking about myself, the kids, sports, etc. Then finally got to talk about life insurance. Be purposeful in what you're doing here. In other words, you set the expectation that we're going to talk about this. Sure, there's going to be some intros, but then you jump into the fact finding, both for the financial fact finding as well as the health fact finding. Now, once you have that, you should be pivoting as far as some of the things you're going to cover in that fact finding to either presenting a quote or a full illustration. So have your tools ready. Or if you need help from either from myself or anyone from on our team, we help you put together the illustrations. So make sure you set up a follow-up meeting and you set the expectations again when you're going to call them. And of course, you're going to have that call to action, which should be proceeding to an e-app. So once again, have your tools ready, because if you have your tools ready, you should be able to segue all of the way through to setting that done. Some of these you can done literally within an hour, maybe even 30 minutes for that matter, especially with these instant decision processes. So you, if you're a health agent, they already trust you. It's a matter of just explaining to them what you do on the life insurance side or the annuity side. Here, this is focusing on life insurance. I'm not going to cover this because it's very detailed, but if you need all of the attachments that are part of this, there's even an online web-based needs calculator for those younger individuals. So we have that. So the health fact finder, some of you have seen that already. So if you're doing final expense and it's guaranteed issue, the health fact finder may not be as relevant because I call them knockout questions. So for life insurance and final expense, typically the way you answer those questions on the application for final expense, if you answer a certain way, it's going to quote unquote knock you out. You're not going to qualify. So you're going to have to pivot to something like a guaranteed issue. If it's other than final expense, definitely get the health fact finder. And the reason I emphasize this, because if you send this health fact finder to me, and you send me an email with a brief description of what I'll need, what you need, what I'll do is I'll put together the illustration, send it to you, maybe review it, and then you present it to your prospect. I always remember to say this when I talk about this point. Whenever you present, it is 100% yours. I do not get a cut. Empower does not get a cut. It is your case. We're here to help you close that deal, to help you as far as in your business, your practice, but also ultimately help your client. So I'm going to go cover the rest of this later on, if one-on-one, if we do a follow-up. So here's uh, a static image of our website. So remember I mentioned about those PowerPoints. So it's going to be on our agent portal, which is the top center. There's a drop down. Then you keep on scrolling through that page, and you're going to see the images you see here. So this right here, as an example, is our recordings of all of the webinars I have on Wednesdays. I'm sorry, I said Wednesday. I should have said Thursdays. Thursdays at 1 o'clock Central. So if you want those recordings, they're there. Our full listing of all the life insurance carriers, they're right here. Plus, it has some really great tools for links that have links. But for this presentation, in a moment, if we have time, I'm going to show you where to find the financial planning and the final expense PowerPoint. Okay, that's me. You know who I am. So I'm going to pause right there for a sec before I segue. But if you have your smart device, if you want to take a picture of that, that goes straight to my calendar, and we can do a meeting later this week or next week to on any of the cases you would like to do. And with that pause right there, Shania, how am I doing? How am I doing on time? And any questions out there?
Yeah, this is just great information. You're doing great on time. I would say we have maybe another, we could wrap up by 10:45 or 9:45 Central Time. That's fine with me. But if anyone else has any questions, like please put them in the chat. We would love to hear your feedback.
So right now I have 9:23. So you're saying till the top of the hour?
Yes, that's at 45.
Okay, 12:45. Okay,
Yes.
15 minutes more or less. Okay, so let me go ahead and exit this. So here is the Forrester's website, and I went ahead and logged in. So just a couple of quick highlights. And some of you, again, may know where to find some of this stuff, but for those of you that are new or wanting to get familiar, here we go. So I call these tiles. So anytime you see these squares with any carrier, call them tiles. So you can run illustrations. This is for the other than the final expense, other than plan right. So term, universal life, their standalone, traditional whole life, you'll find it there. So if you segue over to doing an e-app, there it is. And so remember I said a moment ago, they have an instant decision whole life. That's going to be it is, yes, I'm pretty sure it's this one here, the Well Plus. And then that's a new one, by the way. I'm not totally familiar with it, quite frankly, to be transparent, but I'm pretty sure that's the one for the instant decision. Now, the next one is the plan right. So you can do a live app plan right, that's their final expense. And then here you can monitor your business. They call them certificates, not policies. So you want to check out your policies / certificates. They're right here. So then a lot of tools on the right hand side. Okay. The one I do want to point out is the forms down here. So I just wanted to just give you a quick overview with that. Now, here we go. On the top right-hand side, if you hadn't discovered it already, click on Knowledge Zone, and you're going to see all of these different options here. So what I did a moment ago, I went to the training. Oops, one moment, please. I thought I was going to be ready for y'all. Okay, here we go. Training, there it is. So the training, so you're going to have all of these topics to select from. And then you're also going to have sales concepts. So if you're already familiar with the products and you're needing ideas of how to present to your audience, if you will, so they have this build your advantage, college planning, retirement planning for those young families, protecting the family home, a package deal, life insurance policy review. So all of these are really good. So let's take a look at the just for a quick look right now. So then protecting your family home. They even have these PowerPoints that you can click on. Okay, so I spent too much time on that, quite frankly. So I'm going to close that because what I did is I got this one ready for you. This is a 47-page slide deck. This is for you, and that's one of the going back to this here on the training. That's one of those that you'll find on the Knowledge Zone. So it's all there for you if you have a contract. If you don't have a contract, get with Shania so you can get contract with this carrier. If you need help with all of the tools, go ahead and set up a one-on-one with me and I'll go over this. So for the sake of time, I'm just going to click through the pages here. So let me see if I can get this a little bit more presentable. There you go. So once again, 47 pages. There's the agenda. Opportunity knocking. This is for you, the agent. So stats. More stats. There's a QR code that you can get more information on the company. This is a really good slide that I looked at a while ago. So simplified, non-medical, accelerated, instant decision. So right here, remember I had the doubt of what the tile was for? There it is, the Foresters Live Will Plus. So again, instant decision, think of those individuals that are healthy. It's a whole life product, all self-contained. You get a decision, they say yes, they make the payment, the policy is issued, all electronic. So these others, by the way, simplified, here are the products down here. Same thing with a non-med. There you go. So see how it sort of ties into that first presentation, that first slide deck I mentioned. So each carrier, again, has their own version. This is a really good point to focus on the strong foundation. So if you have clients that have diabetes, for the most part, I'm going to say generally 80% of people that have type 2, as long as their A1C is good, their body mass index is good, they're going to their doctor, overall general health is good, I'd say 80% people can get some type of coverage. It's the ones that have type 1 insulin dependent diabetics that unfortunately are not able to get coverage. This is one carrier for their term product, which they call Strong Foundation. They will accept the type 1 insulin dependent diabetics. See here, the A1C up to 10.9. So I'm blessed that I have good health. I don't know the impact or the significance of 10.9, but if you are, there it is. And they have a calculator that's going to help you determine the table rating for this product. So again, very high level. I know I'm not going to have time to go through the entire slide deck, but my point is the type 1 insulin dependent diabetics, this is the carrier to go with. So the things to look for that strong foundation, they're telling you what to look for. Once again, think back to the slide, the first slide deck. What are the things that impact the underwriting? Here they are. ITIN. If in your market you have individuals that do not have a social security number, but do have what's called an individual taxpayer identification number, yes, they can get coverage with this carrier. So the thing is that this is the highlight that I always mention, the 3 consecutive years. So if you find out they have an ITIN, think of general contractors. They have a crew. The crew may or may not have their social, but they have an ITIN, but then they live in a apartment or they live in a home or they live, but that it's where they live can be confirmed with, let's say, a cell phone bill that has their name and their physical address. That's how you can confirm the 3 years. Just to let you know, that's just really quick highlight of what to look for when you're in that specific market with ITIN. So I'm going to skip this one. So they have a lot of community driven solutions that help promote you, the agent, within your community. So they have community grants, scholarships, volunteer opportunities, and well-being benefits. Community grants, as an example, if you have a client, and let's say some of us that live, I'm pretty sure hurricane season now may impact your area. I had an agent about 4 years ago that when we had a hurricane in far South Texas, she reminded her foresters, policy owners, hey, apply for this grant, and the money is given to your local community center to help because of the impact that hurricane had. My point is, it brings up awareness of what you do. It promotes you as something that gives back to the community. Plus, it builds that bond and relationship with your clients. If you didn't know that, as far as the grants, scholarships, same idea. Policy owner can apply on the behalf of their grandchildren, their children, for a scholarship. It's a very simple process. It's not going to pay for all of their college, but at the same time, something going towards that does help. All of this is to help you promote yourself within the community. If you're in the market space where there's their orphan benefit, here's another feature benefit that they offer for those individuals. Law Sure. Many people ask me, like, which carrier can help me prepare my will, my power of attorney, or medical directives. Many of us in different communities, this is the last thing we think of. And then the families having to deal with making decisions on behalf of that person, the insured. So the policy owner has access to getting access to this benefit, Law Sure. It provides them with a template to prepare that will. I think what's really important on the list is the medical directive, because who's going to make those important decisions? Second one in line is going to be that will. What happens if I die? And power of attorney. What if I'm not able to make decisions for myself? So the power of attorney helps that. So once again, these are included with the final expense. That last one I just showed you. So I'm going to pause here for a second, Shania, because there's a lot of other slides. I can segue over to the final expense, or if you like, I can continue. But any questions, because I know we're coming up on time.
Oh, I think this is good. We could segue into the final expense. Wonderful. Thank you.
Once more, lots of material, and this PowerPoint, going back to where I showed you on the knowledge zone, I downloaded it, have it ready for you. These are for you, the agent, to use. There are also some consumer PowerPoints, but these are for you, the agents, to get familiar with the product. So let's go. So this is just giving you a high level view of what is a plan right. So simplified, they check your MIB. If you're not familiar with an MIB or a Milliman search, that's what they check as far as the medical records. No blood work, no pee in a cup, no attending physician statement. It's typically based on how you answer those questions on the application. So you have for non-tobacco versus tobacco. So you have the plan right preferred versus standard. If they get the preferred, they may have the option to add a accidental death benefit rider. Plan right basic is your graded death benefit. So for those people that are not so healthy, they may qualify for the basic plan right. So these are the different categories. Many times agents wonder why they couldn't get the full X dollar, 25,000s because, well, they didn't get qualified because of their health. So depending on their category, again, let's say that they're 50 to 80, and if it's standard, the max is $20,000. Whereas the person who is a little bit healthier, same age bracket, they can get up to the $35,000 in death benefit. So if they had some health issues, going back down to the graded down here, that's going to be for the same age bracket, maximum is $15,000. Those of you that want a sample of the application kit, because I have a PDF I can send to you all, let Shania know, and I'll send it to her so she can send it to you. But make sure you send her a request on this on the chat box. That way we can get it to you. A lot of the agents find it helpful. So coverage period all the way to age 121 ties back to that first presentation I did. It does build cash value. I really don't promote the use of final expense for cash value. I promote it more for that permanent coverage for death benefit. But yes, it does have cash value. Premiums, so you can do an EFT. You can do direct billing if they want. I do not recommend direct billing because sometimes something may happen with the mail. They change accounts, et cetera, et cetera. Always try to get the pre-authorized check, the draft is what I'm saying. So there is a charge, if you will, for doing a monthly premium payment, 0.875 modal factor, versus if they pay all up front. So that's just telling you that's why the premium may be a little bit different when they're doing that draft. So I'm just going to skip through a couple of these here. Payments not allowed, as you can see there, no cash, no post-dated checks, no money orders. From time to time, we'll get that request. I do get those, by the way, and unfortunately, this carrier will not accept money orders. There was a client that insisted on that. Unfortunately, we could not accommodate. Yes, you can borrow against the cash value, but I'll say again that for final expense, I would not suggest taking policy loans. I would pivot over for a healthy individual. I would pivot over to their traditional whole life. If for whatever reason this automatic premium loan process, if you have cash value and if you have a hiccup in your income, you're out of work for a few or something didn't come through. So if you have cash value, the premium will be taken from that cash value in the form of a policy loan so that your policy does not lapse. That's a really important feature, by the way, because sometimes it does happen where we have hiccups with our income. So a senior, this may be important, but nevertheless, if there's not enough cash value, the policy will lapse. I'm going to skip this one here. Grace period, 31 days. Reinstatement. If you wait too long if you forget that the payment didn't go through, it ran out of cash value. So you have a certain amount of time. If it lapses, then you have to reapply all over again. But if you're within a certain time period, you have to pay the premiums in arrears and sometimes show that you're still insurable for that coverage. So keep that in mind. Multiple certificates allowed? Yes. This one, a client will not be eligible and should not apply if they do not have a social security number. So this is one that they must have a social. Here are the knockout questions. So I'm glad I saw this here. So I'm going to wrap up with this one right here because I got 5 minutes left. So this is section one. So if you answer yes to anything from 1 to 6, any of these here, as an example, automatically you're not eligible. So I use the phrase knockout. So you're out. So that person, if you have that situation, then you should be pivoting over, in my opinion, to a guaranteed issue option. That guaranteed issue we have for you all is going to be Gerber Life for those seniors 50 to 80 years old. So once again, if you're going through this process and you find out that they're not eligible, keep in mind, have your contract ready. Remember that flow chart I showed you at the beginning? You should be able to pivot into a guaranteed issue, Gerber Life. So this is the second section. So 7 to 2. So it means your client may be eligible for the basic. So once again, I'm just letting you take a peek at the questions here. So I'm about to wrap up with this section right here. And then the last section. So if they have anything here, then for standard. So once again, I call these knockout. If everything was answered no from question number one all the way down to the end, then they're going to have the preferred rating, the best rating if they answered no. So I'll stop there. Any questions on what I'm sharing today with the audience, Shania?
So, like I said, this is a lot of great information. I always love hearing you present. One of the questions that I got, and it may not be foresters. What we have someone who they were asked about estate planning. I know that foresters will, help them with, the will and all of that. But can you talk a little bit about just that process, of what that would look like, and if there is another carrier that we offer that does offer any other estate planning services?
So the answer is yes. So if you have someone who is in the high net worth and they're looking for help on how to take care of their what they've accumulated over time, so yes, that's an advanced case. Some of these carriers do have departments that will help assist the agent. Uh, I can name a couple right now if you'd like, but if I'm answering the question, so for estate planning, so if you are wanting to partner up with a local attorney or maybe even a CPA, because it is the attorney that does all the legal documents, we the agents provide the solutions. So think of where you have somebody that has a lot of assets and they're in real estate, and when they pass away, let's say that there's still debt on the property or there's taxes due on the property. So if you're not properly planning, then you may have to sell or borrow more money against one of the properties, and now you're in more debt, which may impact all of the process as far as transferring it to survivors and the family. High level, and I'm butchering this, I know, but the concept is that if it's properly planned, you have a life insurance policy in place, the person passes away, X dollars, 500,000, $1 million is going to create a pool of money for that the estate to either pay taxes, pay off debt, or help in that transition while the property is being moved over to the family. I know that's certain high level. That's why you need to have a good partnership with, say, an attorney within your community. The actual concepts, yes, there's a lot of concepts that we can provide to the agent depending on the carrier they select, because different carriers have different departments, if you will, but the resources are available on their agent portal.
Great,
Can
great.
I
Sure.
quick? Um, so I did some estate planning, and you think, oh my God, what do I do? Basically, it's the will, the trust, if they need a trust, which allows a third party to hold, like Enrique was saying, high net worth individuals, they would probably need a trust, and that's a third party that would hold and manage assets on behalf of the beneficiary. So if they leave money to underage children, um, when you're writing a life insurance policy, you really shouldn't put underage children as beneficiaries because they cannot inherit or have access to the money till they're of age. So that's where a trust would come in. And then the power of attorney, like Enrique mentioned, if you partner up with an attorney, that designates if they need a trust. They designate a trusted person to make the financial and legal decisions. And then the health directive, as Enrique was saying, the living will, the medical power of attorney, especially for end of life care. On the personal side, I've been there, and it is difficult. So if you have that in place already, and then make sure that the beneficiary designations are on the life insurance policy. Um, the people that you want, when it goes into estate planning, make sure that you have the right beneficiaries on your plan. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
That's great. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate that. Yes, that's a lot of great information, and it definitely puts things into perspective. One of the things I always tell us as agents is, you know, when we are going to present these types of solutions to clients, it would be great if we already had something similar in place so that we can speak from a place of experience. So I would encourage each and every one of you on the call to go and kind of do a review yourself and make sure that we have these things in order. And that's a great thing about having foresters or whoever, with your family having a plan with foresters and you telling them, how easy it is to do business with them. Um, Another question, which is not, we didn't talk about it today, but I do know I've gotten this question a lot, Enrique, about our long-term care solutions. Are there any long-term care riders with foresters? And if there aren't, can you kind of tell us a little bit about what those long-term care solutions look like with Empower?
Certainly, yes. So before I segue to that, what I was displaying on the screen, this is a tool that we have access to, and as an example, these are different templates that we can use for the advanced case design. So I just want to point that out. Let me know on the one-on-one. Let me know. So going back to foresters. So if the carrier, any carrier for that matter, let me see if I can find foresters again. If the carrier has living benefit riders, then those living benefit riders mimic long term care. In other words, if you cannot do 2 out of 6 living activities of daily living, then you can file a claim and you have a benefit that's going to help pay for some of those costs. So I may not be able to find it right away, but my point is if the foresters has a living benefit rider, yes, that might be an option. A traditional long-term care, we have a different carrier, which may be our follow-up meeting with Bertha and long-term care, because they do offer uh, a standalone long-term care. You also have hybrid solutions, and I'm looking for an email, by the way, to answer that question. I know I'm a lot over time here.
No, this is
So,
fine. I just wanted to give us time to have this question Q&A session. So we're great on time.
so here we go. Let's see if I have it for you. Here we go. I know it's pretty small. I'll send it to you here in a moment. So that way you can have it. I know, again, it's pretty small, but you have your traditional Mutual of Omaha. Then you're going to have a hybrid, which is an index universal life with a traditional long term care rider. We have two carriers, Mutual of Omaha and Transamerica. Then we have a universal life single premium with Lincoln. They call it MoneyGuard. We yet have another, which is a whole life. It could be a 10 pay, but we try to push it for a single pay, which is One America, and that is our whole life called asset care. And then if you're in the annuity market space and they're concerned about long-term care, there is an annuity with a long-term care rider that's also with a One America annuity care single premium. Most of us hear about the traditional. Most people don't like the idea of traditional because if you never file a claim, and by the way, this is super high level. So if you never file a claim on a long-term care policy, no benefit to a beneficiary. Yes, there are some additional riders that you can add, like not endowment, but return of premium or sharing of benefit, but that typically increases the premium. But like 90%, 99% of the people looking for the most value is going to be that traditional. But the downside, again, I repeat, if they never file a claim, then no benefit. But then they have these other options, which is the next one, again, here just to point out, is that IUL. So I call it a 3-in-1. You have your death benefit, you have your cash accumulation, plus you have that rider should you ever have a need for traditional long term care. So uh, but now you have to go through two types of underwriting for that IUL, the life insurance underwriting plus the long-term care underwriting. So it's different types of underwriting. Some of it may overlap, but there are two, generally speaking, two types of underwriting for long-term care versus the life insurance. So I didn't mean to get too much into the details, but that's that.
No, no problem. We love the details. This is very high level, but I really appreciate just the depth of this. So for a new agent, someone who new to Empower, they may have not, or they may have had their first AEP. What would be your first, your I guess your top carrier that you would recommend them contracting with? With the vast amount of products, would you prefer Foresters? Would you prefer Mutual of Omaha, Transamerica? What would be your go-to?
Oh, that's a loaded question. So, so I'm going to stick to my top three or four.
Okay.
Will that be fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. So if you're going to be offering, you're talking about long-term, I'm sorry, final expense, I would suggest getting a guaranteed issue because I already mentioned what would happen if they get declined for that, traditional whole life or a final expense, a regular final expense policy. So that carrier, I would suggest Gerber Life, guaranteed issue. So the next one in line, I like Foresters. They have a lot of solutions that we already saw. They have the final expense. They have the term. So not only do you going to get that final expense solution, but if you're introducing or asking for introductions to young family members or business owners, then you're going to have access to the PowerPoints that I mentioned. You're going to have access to the term for those young families, those with deeper pockets and want a little bit more guarantees for cash value. You have the traditional whole life, so Foresters. Next one in line is going to be a toss up for me. So it's going to be a toss up between National Life Group and Transamerica. So with National Life Group, that's our go-to for living benefit riders. So that person who asked about, long-term care, they're the ones that really promote themselves as a, again, alternate solution for that long-term care because they mimic, as I said, so they have critical illness, critical injury. They have Alzheimer's rider. They have even for their IUL, they have a fertility journey rider. So if you want to learn more about that, let me know. But that's our go-to. They do not have final expense, but they have term, they have whole life, they have universal life, index universal life, and annuities. So the next one, as I mentioned, Transamerica. So they're the ones that do have instant decision for final expense, instant decision for the IUL, And think back to the foresters. They have an instant decision for the traditional whole life. And so going back to Transamerica, they have the IUL, and then they have that IUL with the traditional long-term care rider. Now, to add to the mix, which may be a follow-up training, is that Mutual of Omaha. So Mutual of Omaha has the final expense, has the term, has the IUL, really strong IUL, by the way. I really like the way their numbers work. So that'd be a good one to have. Plus, we already mentioned that they have the standalone long-term care. So I expanded the list there a little bit, but you asked the question, there they are.
Wonderful. I think it's just so great. And this is just so helpful because we have agents at every level on this call. And so, whether we are brand new to this and we're trying to build our portfolio and our arsenal, or you are an agent who've been with us for several years, but you haven't even really considered the cross-selling side of things. And so, Enrique and Bertha, I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to meet with us. We will have them back next week. I know Bertha will be on, but Enrique, if you're available, I would love to have you present as well. And we can do a deep dive. I know we'll talk a little bit about Mutual of Omaha. We'll talk about the new fact finder for life and financial that they've launched. And so again, I just really appreciate you all for joining us today.
Oh, it was my pleasure. And I look forward to next week. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. So there's my QR code if you want to get on the schedule for a one-on-one.
Awesome. So as we transition from this, I do want to let you know I have a few housekeeping things that I want to get go over. So Enrique and Bertha, thank you very much. Feel free to stay on if you'd like. Well, we're just going to continue into the last part of our meeting.
I'll let you take the screen back.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, everyone. I really hope that you enjoyed all of this information. These hump day huddles, like I said, they're going to continue to be very intentional, making sure that you all are prepared for the upcoming season. The worst thing is, training, but not being able to put these things into use and turn them into cash. We want to make sure that we are utilizing this knowledge to be able to go out and serve as many people in our communities as possible. Right now is the time for us really to be reviewing marketing plans. So if you've been with us for several years, you should have completed a marketing plan at this point. But if you are new to Empower, that's something I would recommend. So whether it's you connecting with me or another regional sales director across the country, make sure you get a marketing plan complete so that we can really break down what success looks like for you and help you have a clear plan to achieve it. So, some updates for Medicare. The AHIP will launch next Monday. So, June the 22nd, the AHIP will be launched. And we want to make sure that we start early. Let's go ahead and get those certifications complete. We know that there are a lot of changes that are happening within the industry, especially in regards to Medicare. So we want to make sure that we are sharp and that we know that we can go and be of service to our community. So at an in Empower Brokerage's agent portal, you are also able to log in. As soon as you log in, you will see the certifications dates being uploaded. So make sure you go and you check that on a consistent basis. I know United Healthcare, they also open next Monday as well. So let's go ahead and get these Medicare certifications done as soon as possible. Like I mentioned last week, you all do now have access to both Health Sherpa and Sunfire. So, of course, if you've written ACA in the past, you know that that Health Sherpa is our ACA enrollment platform. But now with Empower and with Health Sherpa, you will now have access to enroll Medicare beneficiaries through Health Sherpa as well. So, of course, this is a brand new side to their business. We have not had access to that before, so I'm sure there will be a learning curve. So right now you do currently have access to both Sunfire, and you will have access to Health Sherpa. What I'm most excited about is, what if we could just have one system that we log into every day and be able to write ACA and Medicare. For me, I think that would just be a lot easier, and it would cut back on time, as well as we are enrolling our clients. And with the way that things are changing, we want to make sure that our calendars are full, and we need to be as efficient as possible. So even with, maybe just having that platform or that access, it could get you one more appointment added to your calendar every day. Because the process is so easy. So those are the things that we're going to be looking into. And as I get more information, of course, I will relay that to you all, and make sure you all have the tools and resources to be able to access all of that. Also for ACA, I do not have the certification date as of yet. I know usually it's sometime in July. Um, but as soon as I get that information, I will put that out to you. If you are brand new, if you're writing here in the state of Georgia, you are required to take two certifications. So one would be the Georgia Access certification. Georgia is a little different. We have a state-based exchange, so we do not run through the Federal Facilitated Marketplace, or FFM. But if you are, so that's why you would have to take that Georgia Access certification. But again, once that comes out, I will do a deep dive and make sure that we have all of that information updated for you all. And then you are also required to take the FFM certification. That is something that is required through Health Sherpa. So if you want to enroll directly through Health Sherpa, you are required for that FFM certification as well. I think that is great to take both anyway, because we want to be experts at what we're doing, and make sure that we are providing the best care to our clients. And so with just taking both, it kind of gives us a little bit more information on the products that we're selling within the ACA. Um, as far as ACA as well, I know ICRA has been a hot topic, and the team at Empower, they've done a great job with just kind of introducing this product to you all. And so Tyler and the ICRA team, they have put together a presentation. I will have them on, I would say within the next month or so, just to kind of do an overview of ICRA, so that you all are able to see that opportunity and be able to offer solutions to those business owners if need be. So, I just wanted to give you those updates. Of course, these calls are recorded, and I can definitely send out the link to you all at the end of each call. They are uploaded into our private Facebook page. So, that way you can go back and rewatch previous Hump Day Huddles if you may have missed one. Invite another one of your agents that that you feel that they could use that information. Please share that with them as well. But I'm here to assist you any way that I can. Right now, as of June, we're planning on June the 22nd for our in-person meeting. We're planning for that to be at a Centerwell Senior Primary Care. So as soon as that's approved, I will send that over to you, and it will be uploaded to the Empower Brokerage website. But I just wanted to kind of give you that information here as well. I know that we are a few minutes over, but I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend with us. My hope is that you are able to take some of this information, something that you've heard today and be able to apply it real time, that there may be a client or someone that either reaches out to you today or that has reached out to you that you're able to go back to and be able to provide them with the solutions. Do we have any last comments or questions?
Hey, Queen, that meeting that you were speaking of at Cinerel, I heard 622. Did you mean 622 or 722?
I'm sorry, it is 7:22. Thank you so much.
No worries. Just wanted to make sure. Thank you, Queen.
Thank you. All right, I have copied down everyone's email address, and so I will be sending each of you a recording of this call, and then I'll also send you out that PDF of Enrique's presentation. Thank you all so much for joining today. Have a great week. Bye bye.